Thanks for calling Room 40 Barbershop. How can I help you?
Yeah, I need a haircut for tomorrow.
Can I get your full name?
Jimmy John.
Which service would you like? A haircut, beard trim, hot shave, or kids haircut?
Let me get a hot shave tomorrow. Let's do 9 a.m.
Your hot shave appointment for tomorrow, Friday, October 10th at 9 a.m. is all set, Jimmy John. Looking forward to seeing you then.
Adios.
Adios. Take care.
I'm about to show you how to build a fully automated AI employee that answers calls and books appointments without ever needing to know a single line of code. This is the exact same system companies are willing to spend $5,000 to $10,000 for, and I'm going to show you how to get it set up in the next few minutes. But now let me show you why companies are so eager to have this set up for them. Well, here we can see two options. The first one is a human. You pay them for 8 hours of work. Who knows how many of those hours they're actually working? They need to sleep. They're unavailable for calls. They're out on lunch. They need to take vacations. They're going to be inconsistent on the phone with customers, and they're super expensive. You have to pay them a full-time salary. The problem is with this setup, missed calls equals leaking money. Do you have a 100% call answering rate? No business does. And for most businesses, every missed call could mean thousands of dollars lost. And most businesses are right here with a massive leaking hole of cash and no way to guarantee that we capture all those leads. So the new method is the AI receptionist. Why? Because answered calls equals cash flow. They're only paid for the actual call time. They're not paid per hour. They're only paid per call time. If the call time is 30 seconds, they're only paid for 30 seconds at the time. Can you do that with a human? The answer is no. Are they available for 24/7? Yes, all day, every day. While you're sleeping, they're booking appointments. Consistent performance. This is a robot. This is not a human. If they wake up at 3 a.m. answering the phone, or if they just had lunch and they're a little tired, there's not going to be a difference. It's going to be very consistent and also has access to your entire knowledge base. So it will never forget a policy, never forget a rule, product detail, etc. Also way cheaper than a human because we're not paying them a full-time wage. What does this lead to? Exponential earning potential. Why? Because imagine we have these two tanks of water. One is constantly leaking water and you need to keep pouring more money into the bucket, more money on ads. And guess what? All that cash is gone because you don't even have the team to answer the calls. And however, once we can patch up that hole and make sure that every single call is being answered and it's fully automated, how much more time do you have to spend on other things? How much more money you're going to be making by answering the calls? And the answer is exponentially more money. So we're going to be building an AI agent that handles all of this for us. And I just wanted to give you guys a quick breakdown of like exactly how this actually works. So you have the call audio, you're on the phone talking to the agent. Well, that call audio needs to be turned into text. So what we get is a speech to text. Okay. That's all that's happening there is speech to text transcription. That is then fed directly into the GPT or Claude or whatever you're using, the AI agent, which is going to use reasoning and it's given instructions. This is very important. So if you give it instructions to be super rude, it's going to be terribly rude to people and turn them away from your business. But if you give it instructions and prompt it exactly like how I'm about to show you how to do today, then the results are going to be fantastic. So the AI agent synthesizes that information and then it gets output as text. And then that text output needs to get converted into a call audio with text to speech. So this is exactly how it's all happening. Now, the thing is, like a few years ago, we could have never have done this. Why? Because the amount of time between the call audio coming in and this whole process would take like a second and a half, 2 seconds. So just imagine you're on the phone with somebody and you say, hey, how's it going? Hey, how can I help you? Like it's off. People are going to know it's AI. It's a problem. However, with the most recent models of AI, we've been able to speed up this process dramatically, which allows us to build exactly what we're going to build right now. Okay, we're building a very simple workflow today. So we're gonna have a webhook that receives information directly from VAPI. That data is then gonna be formatted, then routed either one of two ways. So the first way is it's gonna go and check the availability for the actual appointments and then communicate back to our initial webhook. Or it's just going to directly book the appointment in our Google Calendar and then store that information in our Google Sheets. And everything you need in order to build this within about 30 seconds is going to be in my Skool group down below. So join the free Skool group. If you join that now, you can just download the JSON file. Then you come right up here and just click import from file. So if you join, you get not only this template, but every other template that I have on YouTube. Let's get into it. So first things first, I think we already know this by now, but head over to anyden.io. If you don't have an account, just create one in the top right hand corner, click get started or sign into your account and you click on add first step. What we're going to type in here is webhook. Okay, let's create a webhook. What we see here is the URL with the get endpoint. But what we really need is post. Topics like this are kind of difficult for beginners to understand, which is why I highly recommend you join my Skool group. But get is like you're going and grabbing the information. Post is sending it. But in this case, they're sending it to us. So what we need to do here is we need to change this HTTP method to post. I'm just going to leave this on production. And this is the path. Doesn't really matter what it says here. So let's just do book appointment. Authentication is going to be none, and then respond is actually going to be using respond to webhook node because that's going to be shooting off the message back to this original webhook. That's really the best way to describe it. So you'll notice it says listen for test event, and when I click execute, you can see this says it's listening, waiting for trigger event. So what that means is it's just waiting for it to send information. So it's kind of like it's always listening. And then when we use VAPI, it's going to make a direct call to our webhook and send us the data. So that's how the two softwares are communicating with each other. So now that I set that up in N8N, let's head over to VAPI. So here's VAPI. This is where your voice agent exists. So I'll give you a quick run through. Over here on the left, we have assistants, tools, phone numbers, voice library. So click on assistants first. This is where your voice assistant will be. I already have one set up, but you'll just click create. You have a couple options here. You have customer support specialist, lead qualification specialist, appointment scheduler, info collector. Personally, I like to just customize these from scratch, but they do have a few templates to choose from. So let's just name this appointment setter. Okay. And create assistant. Okay. So we see here they have providers. They have all these different providers to choose from, like OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, DeepSeek, Perplexity even. And then they also have all these models available. Now, what you'll notice about these models is that if we scroll up, we can actually see the cost breakdown. And here we can actually see the process that I was mentioning earlier. They have transcriber, which is DeepGram. So it takes a speech and turns into text. And then where does that text go? It goes right here to GPT-4o. And it's cool because it actually shows you the cost of each individual asset. So you can see how much you're being charged and what specifically it's for. And then the voice is VAPI. So this is a text to speech. So if you see how this works, it goes speech to text, then text to speech. And it actually shows you a cost breakdown, which is awesome. There's also latency, which is just the speed at which each thing takes to perform its action pretty much. You're not gonna be able to make that big of changes up here, but if you switch between the models, you can see the differences. So then we have first message mode. This is gonna dictate whether or not the agent speaks first, if they're gonna wait for the user to speak over the phone. So this is important. We'll just say assistant speaks first for now because we're calling them, they're answering the phone. And then whatever they tell us first is gonna be controlled right here in first message. Let's just use a med spa as the example. So we'll say, thanks for calling Ocean Med Spa. So when you call, it's going to answer the phone. It's going to say, thanks for calling Ocean Med Spa. This is Max. How can I help you? And then we have the system prompt, which is going to be training the model on exactly what we're looking for. Now, this gets very tricky because we have one problem with this automation, which is why most people fail. Google Calendar expects the dates in ISO 8601 format. It has a date and time separator and a time zone identifier. So that makes it super difficult when we're trying to translate everything over, as you can imagine. So I'm going to show you how to fix that. But if you keep scrolling, its max token is going to be 250. So that's just going to be every turn of the conversation. So every time one person starts talking, the agent starts talking, max 250 tokens. That way it kind of hones things in a little bit as far as like cost control. Then we have temperature. So if you drag this all the way to the right, if you have a super creative business and it's something that maybe is a bit more comprehensive than the average business, then it might be a good idea to go all the way to the right because temperature is going to heat it up a little bit and it's going to get a little bit more creative, so to speak. I've tested it. It's worked okay, but I honestly just prefer to keep things default, kind of cut and dry, because that's the majority of most like local service businesses or e-com brands or companies like that. However, you guys can always play around with it and see what the results are for you. But I find that most of our control is going to end up coming from the system prompt anyways. If you scroll down, you have voice configuration. So here's the cool thing. They have a bunch of these providers. We have 11 Labs, VAPI, DeepGram, OpenAI. I'm just going to leave the default VAPI one. A lot of people have raving reviews about 11 Labs. And I got to be honest, some of the voices are terrible and they seem to be the most buggy. So I've just been sticking with VAPI myself. The only nice thing about using 11 Labs is that you can just train your own voice into it. So you could be answering the phones. It's definitely going to take some testing. So we have VAPI. Let's just choose Harry, our guy Harry. You're a wizard, Harry. Additional configuration. Oh, this is cool. Okay, so they have background sound. So how cool is this? You can do office, default, or custom. You can actually upload your own background sound URL. So whatever you want playing in the background could just be playing in the background, just kind of funny. I can only imagine what people are going to do with that. Then we have transcriber, which is going to be DeepGram. Again, that's just going to be taking the speech and turning it into text. Then we have tools. Now, here are where we're going to add our parameters so that the information that's coming from VAPI, so when they're on the phone, they're talking, they're like, hey, what's your email? Or what's your phone number? What's the property address, etc. That information needs to get stored as parameters so we can send it off in the webhook to N8N. So that's what we're going to be setting up momentarily. If you keep scrolling down and go to messaging, and messaging right here, this server URL, let's go back to N8N, click on that webhook, and let's copy and paste this production URL and just paste that in as a server URL. So we have the server URL, click publish, otherwise it's not going to save and you'll be very frustrated and angry when things aren't working. And then scroll down to server messages. Make sure you uncheck every single one. The only one we want is tool calls. So just make sure everything else is unchecked and then publish. So let's create these tools. Go to the left-hand sidebar over here, just click on tools, click create tool. And I already have them created. All you're going to do, I already have them created. Make sure these names stay the exact same every single time you're referring to them throughout your N8N workflow. This is super important. So all we're doing, if we think about it like this, is we're taking these have to stay the same because this is what that workflow is going to be calling back to in order to get these parameters right here from us. So super important thing to remember. Let's keep this as check availability. Description, it's fine. This is just what it's telling the model. So you can just say check availability for new appointments. I just left it blank. So you're just going to click add property. And when you click add property, this is going to pop up. I have all these pre-configured to work with my template that I have in my Skool community. So if you're following along, make sure to follow these names exactly. Initial search, date, time, exactly like this. That's going to be string type. Why? Because it's letters. The description, date and time must be in ISO 8601 format and include the local time zone offset, for example. And then we give an example. And then we give an example. And this right here is my current time zone. So you're going to want to put your current time zone right here. Look up whatever that is. This is Central Time. So just look up what your time zone is. East Coast is going to be 5. And then you're just going to copy and paste this from the Skool group, click apply, and then make sure you save your changes. Okay. Then you go over to book appointment. The name needs to be exactly like this. So book appointment, that capital A, book appointment. The description, again, you can copy and paste. This is where you're just going to put the description of the tool. So I have books an appointment for a client at the barbershop. You're just going to copy and paste this from the group, books an appointment for, and then just fill in the business name. And then if you scroll down, you have parameters. So here we have the phone number. I have number. Again, it's the same thing. You're just going to click add property and you're just going to add these. So number, string, the phone number of the client. That's it. Easy. Click apply. Then we have client name. Again, these need to be named the exact same thing. So client name, just like that. String, because it's text, client's full name, apply. The next one is end date time. So same thing, end date time, string, and then just copy and paste that from the Skool group, apply. And then service type, it says description, the type of service, example, haircut. You can put all your services here, or we're already doing that in the prompt. We're saying, haircut, beard trim, all your services are already going to be in the prompt anyways. So you don't really have to worry about getting too specific. Click apply, then go down to start date time, click edit. Then the next one's going to be start date time. Again, copy and paste all this information. It's the exact same thing as the end date time. And don't worry about the server settings. Click save. Now you have these two tools hooked up and ready to go. So here's a system prompt. Again, I'm just going to be using the barbershop example that I already built out. So just copy and paste the prompt. These lines right here are going to make sure that time issue I was talking about earlier with Google Calendar is not going to be a problem. So then just click publish. Okay, so I'm just going to test it out. So again, we're going to double check that we're copying and pasting this production URL and going to messages. And we're going to copy and paste that right here in messaging. So click publish. And before we call, let's just make sure that our assistant actually has those tools available to him. So this is where we're actually going to add the tools. So you just click this little drop-down menu, make sure these are checked off. Otherwise it won't call the tool. So in your prompt, when you're saying, hey, call this tool, it's not going to be like, what are you talking about? It's going to actually call the tool. And because the whole agent is connected to the webhook URL that we have set up in N8N, it's going to call. So hopefully that makes sense. Now click execute workflow. And now it's waiting for you to call the test URL. So it's waiting for VAPI to send us a signal, so to speak, with data. Let's go to VAPI, click talk to assistant.
Thanks for calling Room 40 Barbershop. How can I help you?
How's it going? Can I schedule an appointment for tomorrow at 2 p.m.? My name is John Jimmy.
Hi, John Jimmy. I can help with that. What's the best phone number to reach you at?
0123456789.
Thanks, John Jimmy. Which service would you like? A haircut, beard trim, hot shave, or kids haircut?
Let's do a beard trim.
When would you like to come in for the beard trim? You mentioned tomorrow at 2 p.m. Should I check availability for that time?
Yes, please.
It looks like I didn't get a response on the availability for tomorrow.
Right, and the reason you didn't get a response is because nothing is hooked up. But let's check this. See, it says no respond to webhook node found. So that's good. It's connected. The data was sent. The problem is we don't have a respond to webhook, which will be at the end of the workflow we're about to build out. So click on this plus button right here. We need to add an edit fields node. So here's where we're going to fill out a bunch of scheduling information. And again, I'm just copying and pasting this all from the Skool group. All we're doing here is we're just formatting that data that's coming in, because remember that time data is super necessary for a Google Calendar to figure out. So we need to lay all that out here so it has clear parameters as to what to do with each piece of data. Now, this is very tricky and important to remember. Time zone is string. All right. I have my time zone, workday, start hour, number 9, workday, end hour, number 17. Why? 17 minus 12 is what? 5. Quick math. Meeting duration minutes, it's going to be a 30-minute meeting. Booking cadence. So for example, 9 a.m., 9:30, 10, 10:30, every half hour is how we book. Buffer before, buffer after. So buffer before meeting and after. I just put these at 0 because that's how most businesses are going to be. But if you're doing like setting and closing for some kind of high ticket offer or some kind of info business, then maybe you'll have a buffer if you need a break or something. But that's how we set this up. Next, we're going to add a router. So go ahead and type in route, which is going to be switch, a switch node. And I'm just going to copy and paste the information once again. And I'm going to check off rename output. I'm just going to put this here. Let's add another routing rule is equal to appointment. What this is showing is when VAPI calls your webhook, it's saying like, hey, I'm calling to check availability, or it's going to say, hey, I'm calling to book an appointment, and then rename the output. Same thing. We're going to put book appointment, and don't click execute step because there's no data to actually execute yet. Okay, so now it's actually time to check availability in the Google Calendar. So add the Google Calendar node. Search up Google Calendar. And then we want to click on Get Many Events. Now, here it says credentials to connect with. This is your Google authentication. I'm going to pop up my video somewhere on the screen right now, or I'll just have a link to my description. Go watch that video. It's going to teach you exactly how to connect your Google credentials in the simplest, easy way. It's kind of a headache, but once you get it done and it then saves it across all your accounts, all you have to do is just click one button, just like I did right here, and your credentials automatically get connected. So resource, we're looking for the event, and then we want to select Get Many. And then we want to make sure this is on Get Many. And the reason is because we're going for all the appointment times that are available. So we're getting many events. We're pulling all the events from Google Calendar. And then just make sure you select the calendar where you want the booked appointments. Return all is on. And now here, we want to paste in what I have in the Skool group. So like I said earlier, Google Calendar stores times in universal time, which is UTC. So your customer might be calling from Chicago or wherever. But if someone says 2 p.m. tomorrow, we need to be checking the whole day in their time zone to actually see what's booked. So these expressions are grabbing the date the customer requested and saying, give me everything from midnight to 11:59 p.m. that day. Now you'll see here I have the minus or dash, and then it's 6. That's because of my time zone. So just make sure that's applicable for your time zone. Again, East Coast would be 5. And this is like why 99% of people's calendar automations fail, because they just completely forget about the time zones and it ends up checking the completely wrong day in the first place. So that's good. There's just one more thing we have to do. Go to settings. Make sure always output data is turned on, and same thing with retry on fail. So that's good. We can click out. So now that we know what's booked, we need to go and grab what could be booked. How many open spots do we have? So now let's add a code node and select JavaScript. And I know at this point, you're probably like, Dylan, you said no code. What the hell is this? Well, if you're part of my free Skool community, all you have to do is copy and paste the code like so, bam, and I'm done. So all this code is doing, if you imagine you have like a schedule grid, you start at 9 a.m. and then you create a time slot every 30 minutes. This is just going from 9 to 7 p.m. in our case. And you can see here, it's directly calling the workday start. And we can see it's directly calling the workday start and workday end hour that we inserted here. So everything's coming together. Next, we need to cross-check. Now next, we need to cross-check which of these possible slots are actually free. So add another code node. And again, I'm just going to copy and paste this. Paste that in. So I know this looks scary, but this is basically what we're doing. So first, we're getting the booked events from the calendar. Then it configures the buffers. So it adds the buffers. Is it like a 10-minute buffer before the next appointment? Then we're checking each potential time slot. So does that overlap with a booked event? If yes, then skip it. If no, then we're adding to the available list. And then finally, we're just formatting the times nicely. So after it goes through all these steps, now we need to respond to this webhook. So let's add a respond to webhook node. On respond with, changes to JSON. So we're responding with a custom JSON body. And again, I'm just going to copy and paste the code from my community. So this is going to respond to VAPI with what times are available to book. So that completes the check availability path. But now we need to make sure that people can actually book an appointment. So let's add another Google Calendar node. But now we need to select create an event because we're creating that appointment. So now select that calendar once more. Again, credentials should be automatically connected by now. Select that calendar once more. And I'm going to paste in the code. As intimidating as this might look, all this is doing is setting the start time and end time. Let's add a field and click on description and then just paste in that code. It says webhook VAPI. That's because we're getting all the information from that webhook that's connected to VAPI. VAPI is sending us that information. We're just formatting it and passing it along right here to this Google Calendar node. We're just formatting it and passing it along now. So in the description box, this is what we want to see when the event's created. What description do we want? Well, we want the service type, client contact, phone. This is just formatting how you want that data to be presented. So service type, it'll say like haircut, Jimbo, and then 123 is his phone number. Now click add field, and this is going to be the summary. So I'm just going to paste in that code once more. This is the summary. This is the title. So the way I have it set up, it's going to say what kind of service and then the name. So that way anybody who's looking at the appointment can see, okay, we have a haircut. It's probably going to be 30 minutes and with John. And then when they view that in Google Calendar and they get an automatic email, it's just going to have the information for the appointment. So now we need to add a respond to webhook node because when Vappy sends that information to book an appointment, there needs to be a message that comes back saying, hey, good to go. So click on the plus button, add a respond to webhook node again, respond with JSON, of course, and now you just paste in my code. And here it says the appointment has been successfully booked. It's just going to Vappy to confirm, yes, the appointment has been scheduled. And now that the appointment's been booked, let's add a Google Sheets node because we want to store that data. So go ahead and add Google Sheets, click on append row, make sure you select the right credentials, go to resource, click document, operation, resource should be sheet within a document, operation should be append row because we're creating a new row in the sheet, select the right document, and select the right sheet. Now you're going to paste in the code from my community. Now in these fields, we have two options here, fixed or expression. We're not choosing fixed, so click on expression because we're pasting in some code. And then all this information is basically just saying the message within the body, within the JSON, within the item. That's all it's saying. It's just digging deeper and deeper and deeper until we finally get to client name. So now I'm going to do the same thing for phone. It's the exact same line of code. The only thing changes is after this period, we're just putting number instead of client name. But the one catch is this name has to line up with the names here in Vappy. So for example, the next one is going to be service type. So I'm just going to paste in that same string of code. And then I'm just going to replace this with service type. Bang, easy. So now that I finished this, we're gonna get the customer name, phone number, service type, and start time of the appointment, each in their own individual column, just like we set up here on my Google Sheet. So we're just mapping each data point to each respective column. Now, one more step before we test, let's go into webhook and just change this name to webhook Vappy in all caps. And now we've matched the webhook name here with the webhook name here that it's trying to call to get all this information. They went from red to now gray and we're good to go. And that's it. You're all set. Now I'm going to save this workflow. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into webhook. I'm going to change this to production. And I'm going to click copy. Now I'm going to go to Vappy. I'm going to click on my assistant. I'm going to go to tools, scroll down to messaging and replace this URL with the correct webhook URL we have in our N8N. Click publish, and now you're all set. So now the only step is to just go to Twilio and add a phone number. So if you go to Twilio, you can get a phone number. Once you're logged into your Twilio dashboard, just scroll down. You're going to see this account SID. Click copy, go back to Vappy. On the left sidebar, it says phone numbers. Click on phone numbers, click on create phone number, click on import Twilio, and then just paste in that Twilio account SID. Same thing with the authorization token, just copy and paste. Same thing with the phone number, just copy the phone number and paste that right in, add a label, and then click import from Twilio. So now that we have the number imported into Vappy, it's time to test it with a real call.
Thanks for calling Room 40 Barbershop. How can I help you?
Yeah, I need to schedule a haircut for tomorrow.
Can I get your full name?
Davy Jones.
What's the best phone number to reach you?
0123456789.
Which service would you like? A haircut, beard trim, hot shave, or kids haircut?
Haircut.
When would you like to come in tomorrow? Please provide a preferred time.
Let's do, can we do 10 a.m.?
That time's taken, but here are a few openings. 9 a.m., 9:30 a.m., and 11 a.m. on Saturday, October 11th. Which one works best for you?
Let's do 9 a.m.
Just to confirm, Davy Jones for a haircut on Saturday, October 11th at 9 a.m. Is that correct?
You know what? Let's do 11 instead.
Got it. Just to confirm, Davy Jones for a haircut on Saturday, October 11th at 11 a.m. Is that correct?
Correct.
Your haircut appointment for Saturday, October 11th at 11 a.m. is all set. Davy Jones. We look forward to seeing you then.
Awesome. So there you have it, guys. Now, I'm sharing this workflow for free in my Skool community down in the description. Just download the template and start using it for yourself or selling it to businesses immediately. I'll be posting all my ready-to-use workflows in the free community, so make sure you join that. If you're looking for a more serious approach to not only learn the fundamentals of how to build these automations for yourself, but how to actually sell these automations and get clients, I also have a paid community, and in there, I always post like my most advanced workflows as soon as I make them. And obviously, they go well beyond just the basic automations of answering phone calls and scheduling appointments. So whether you're a complete beginner in AI automation or you're just looking to get more clients, my private community is definitely the place to meet more like-minded individuals. So I look forward to seeing you in there. As always, if you need my help or you'd like to discover how AI automation can take your business to the next level, my links will be down below. I'll see you guys in the next video.